Hello, Mr. Richard Wicka. My name's Jim McLaughlin, and I am here tonight to try to dissolve and eliminate this man of mystery aura about you. I was hoping to have an introspective about your life so you could tell us a little bit about yourself. Would that be satisfactory?
That sounds very intriguing.
You've been referred to as a man of measures, a man for all seasons, a man of myth, a man of media, man behind the curtain, and even a man of imaginations. According to the Birchfield Penny Arts Center, you're based in Buffalo. You're a media artist and photographer and the proprietor of the Home of the Future Media Access Center and Production Recording Studio. Based in your Kaisertown home, Wicka has been providing a forum for artists and all media, activists, and everyday citizens of his Western New York community since the mid-1970s. He provides interested parties with technical support, studio time, and production tools free of charge, encouraging them to express themselves in ways that mainstream culture has not historically sanctioned. And that, in a nutshell, is very impressive. I was hoping to start my questions now, Richard. May I do so?
Yes, you may.
Okay. The first off, I was hoping to get an idea about your childhood. And do you have any favorite video games that you liked when you were younger? I see a recent article in the Buffalo News, November 13th, talks about the new video games: Call of Duty, Star Wars Battlefront, Super Mario Odyssey, Assassin's Creed, Nintendo Switch, Classic Nintendo Edition. Do you have any favorite video games that you used to play or still do?
No, I have never actually played a video game.
Oh, at all?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, not even any of the earlier ones like Breakout or Pac-Man or anything of that nature?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you grow up in Kaisertown or somewhere else? Yeah,
This room that you're sitting in, I played on this floor with marbles as a child.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you've been here a long time.
Yes, born and raised in this house.
Oh, wow. Okay. Do you consider yourself well-behaved, Richard? Are you a well-behaved individual?
Well, give me an example of behavior that is not well behaved.
Well, do you follow all the rules of society? You know, to stay out of jail, for instance.
I have never been in jail.
Oh, okay. Well, then I would think that that's pretty well behaved then, in general. Yeah.
Can I read you a poem about people in jail?
Certainly, certainly.
All right.
Yes.
Let's see here.
By the way, you're on the schedule tonight. I know that oftentimes you have a schedule here at the House of the Future where you do your good work, but it's safe for me to say that you are on the schedule tonight, Richard.
All right. Does that put me under some kind of obligation?
Or microscope, as it would be, yes.
Okay, ready?
Sure, yeah.
Style is the answer to everything. A fresh way to approach a dull thing or a dangerous thing. To do a dull thing with style is preferable to doing a dangerous thing without style. To do a dangerous thing with style is what I call art. Bullfighting can be an art. Boxing can be an art. Loving can be an art. Opening a can of soup can be an art. Not many have style. Not many can keep style. I have seen dogs with more style than men, though not many dogs have style. Cats have it with abundance. Joan of Arc had style, John the Baptist, Jesus, Socrates, Caesar, Garcia Lorca. I have met men in jail with style I have met more men in jail with style than men out of jail. Style is a difference, a way of doing, a way of being done. 6 herons standing quietly in a pool of water, or you walking naked out of the bathroom without seeing me.
Yeah, you don't want to see me naked, but I know exactly what you mean. That's very creative. Do you like any certain kinds of music? I know that Malcolm Young of AC/DC recently passed away, and I was just wondering, do you, Richard, have any certain kinds of music that you enjoy, that you like to listen to?
I started making a music collection when I was like 18 years old. And every time I would hear a song I liked, I would add it to the collection. That collection is 1,100 songs now.
I think you like music. Is there any particular kind of music, or could it be anything?
It covers the whole spectrum.
Do you like dancing? Do you dance to the music that you like?
No, I don't, because I'm not... dancing has to do with connecting your love of the music with your body rhythm. Wouldn't you agree?
Sure, certainly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't, like my appreciation doesn't connect that way.
Okay. Do you like watching other people dance?
If they're good.
Okay.
There's nothing more pleasant than seeing somebody who the music is traveling through their body and they're reacting. It's a beautiful thing to see.
All right. Okay. Did you enjoy school? Whatever schooling that you went to when you were younger?
Let's see.
And what would you do for fun during the school days, during those early school periods? Does anything come to mind that you enjoyed doing? It wasn't video games, I know.
Well, here's the story behind that. I was in a seminary studying to be a priest.
Okay.
All right. And that was my schooling. And they have it set up in a way so that after 4 years, you get evaluated whether you should stay in another 2 years. And then you get reevaluated whether you should stay in another year, and then you become a priest.
Mm-hmm.
After 4 years, during my evaluation, the people at the seminary said to me, we noticed that you think outside the box and that you have a unique way of looking at things. We think it would be better for you if you left us and you went to the university and studied philosophy.
Oh, they said that?
Uh-huh.
No kidding.
And so I did what they suggested, and they were 100% right, because as soon as I got into the philosophy department, I thought, I have arrived. This is where I belong. They were right. It was so much more freer than the restrictions of the seminary.
Was it kind of like in the military in the seminary? Were you surprised when they said that to you?
I was.
Were you disappointed?
Well, no, actually, it was like they were saying to me, this is for your own best interest. Go and try this other place. You're going to really, really like it.
That seems very liberal-minded,
Isn't
for
it?
an organization to come along and say that.
Or you could say that it was their way of saying, we don't want you, but maybe they do. So you could look at it that way.
Yeah.
Like they were saying, you're not going to fit in. We need yes men to be in the priesthood. And you're not a yes man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Now, so there's that. Now, as far as enjoyment goes, during my youth, my greatest enjoyment was playing pool.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Are you a pool player?
I like pool. Yeah, sometimes I'm good. Yeah, not very consistent, but it's a fun game to play. I just saw Jackie Gleason and Paul Newman in The Hustler recently, a picture of that. For some reason, I always think of Jackie Gleason. But anyway, I know also, that you began a paralegal firm
In 76, yeah.
Uh-huh. Was there any special reason why you got into the legal profession?
Yes. When I was looking for a job, because I had to support myself. I was going to school at night studying philosophy, and I had to support myself. I wanted to get out of the house. Didn't want to live with my parents. I wanted more freedom. So I needed to have a job. So I did. I got a job, go to the unemployment office, and the unemployment office says to me, "We got a job here. It's called legal messenger. Would you like to try that out?" I said, "Sure." So I went and tried it out. And it was before they had the word paralegal. The word paralegal had not been invented.
Okay.
So they said to me, "We're going to teach you how to be a messenger, taking legal documents back and forth." So they taught me how to do that. Then they said, "Now we're going to teach you how to take legal documents to the court. And then when you do that, the court tells you this document is wrong." Start making some notes as to why the document is wrong. So then you learn how to prepare the documents that way.
You learned on the go.
I did. I did. And then after about 5 years or so, the word paralegal came into the vernacular. And Hilbert College in Hamburg offered a course on paralegal. So I went and I took it, and I was shocked that they were teaching a lot of the things that I already knew. So I stayed with this company all the way up until I was actually running it. And then I said to the owner, I said, "Would you consider selling this company to me?" He said, "Why?" I said, "Because if I owned it, I could do a better job at running it than you." But this scared him. This scared him when I said that. It's like he felt I was too ambitious to say such a thing to him.
I see.
And then he probably got scared if he said no, that I would start subverting it to make it even less profitable.
But you were being truthful.
I was being true and naive and truthful. So immediately, like the next week, I was told my services were no longer necessary.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And then the week after that, I started my own business in competition with his business. All right, so here we are, 1976. It's him against me. He sues me, claiming what would be comparable to somebody working for Coca-Cola, finding out the recipe, and then starting a Pepsi.
Did that get anywhere?
Well, we went into the court, and the local court said, "This isn't like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. There's no secret formula here." You know, the court, the papers at the courthouse, the legal profession, this is all public knowledge. Case dismissed. So he appealed it to Rochester, the appellate division in Rochester, knowing I would have to pay a lawyer to go to Rochester, and I was living on nothing. But I found a lawyer who said, "Yeah, I'll go to Rochester for you." So he went to Rochester and he argued the case for me. And then the appellate division says, "Very good. Let us consider this thing. In the meantime, he can keep his business until we make our final decision." It took them 6 months to decide of me being on pins and needles. What's my future going to be like?
I bet. But imagine how the owner felt, too. The owner of that company.
Yeah.
You know, he put himself through a lot of trouble that was unnecessary.
So my attorney, after 6 months elapsed, he was notified of the decision. But he pulled a Lieutenant Colombo on me. He saw me at the courthouse, and he said, "I got some papers that I need you to take care of for me." So he gives me the papers. We're going over them. One of his real estate cases and everything, what he needed to do. I said, "Okay." And I had been asking him every single time I saw him, "Have you heard from the appellate division?" To the point where he kept saying, "Stop asking me. I'll let you know." So I stopped asking him. So he showed me the papers for the real estate stuff, right? And then he says, okay, I'll see you. I says, okay, bye, Tom. So he leaves. I turn around, and he gets to the door, and he says, oh, one more thing. The appellate division ruled in your favor. I ran after him. I gave him a big hug.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm going to switch it around now. And do you have a love of your life? I'm looking at from more of a personal side. Do you have a...
That wouldn't be a fair thing to tell to give somebody that much.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because there's been a number of women that I have bonded with.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't want to rank them and say this one is more than this one and this one is more than this one.
I understand. Okay, then...
But I will tell you this, and tell me what you think of this. Have you ever heard of the concept of the universal woman?
Universal what again?
Woman.
I don't think so.
It goes like this. And I suggest you don't tell this to a woman, because sometimes women get mad when you tell them this. Like this one woman got mad at me when I told her. But it's like this. If I love a woman, what I really love is the universal woman inside of her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? She is the representative of the universal woman. So when you look at it that way, that means that every one of these women over the decades, right, who has formed a bond with me, has been the representative of the universal woman. This is from Plato in a way. And that's why you can't rank the women and say this woman is the love of my life, because the love of my life is the universal woman.
Okay, well, can you rank your very first kiss? Was it pleasant or awkward or...
I was so little. I was like in first grade.
You started early, Richard. I think you do think about previous lovers.
I do.
Yeah.
And I communicate with them.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say...
Yeah, we have a correspondence.
Mm-hmm.
I have never had the door closed on me.
That's good to be able to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, you kind of had a hypnotizing effect on them to a degree.
Well, it's like the love is a outgrowth of friendship.
So, that's good advice for young couples nowadays. Did you know, Richard, that last week Venus and Jupiter were close together in the sky?
Mm-hmm.
And that Venus-Jupiter conjunction in astrology circles was considered kind of a romantic thing, possibly, so.
Do you give credibility to astrology?
I don't know. I think sometimes it has, some interesting points about it. But I don't think anybody can really predict the future entirely. But it is what you make of it, of course.
I'm very anti-astrology.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Have you had bad experiences with astrology, or it just didn't work out, or reading or something?
I've had problems with people who like astrology. And then they try to tell me who I am and what I like.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah.
I could ask you, I could say, Jim, do you like exercising? And that would be me finding out about you. But suppose I said, oh, when were you born? Oh, well, that means that you like A, you like B, you like C, you like D. I know all about you, Jim.
Yeah, they already know.
You don't even have to tell me, so I define who you are.
That kind of stinks.
It's somebody trying to have power over you.
Mm-hmm. How do you like your work here at Home of the Future? What you're doing now?
I find it very satisfying.
What do you do?
Well, I run Think Twice Radio, which is a internet radio station.
Okay.
There's quite a few people involved in that. I mean, on and off, there'd be like 50 people who have had their own radio shows here.
When is it on in the air?
24/7.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't go live, that's why.
Oh, okay.
Everything gets recorded, and then you can listen to it at your leisure.
I see. Okay. What do you want to be when you grow up?
It's a meaningless question to me.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. I was just thinking there might be something more that you want to do that maybe you haven't gotten the opportunity to, or there might be some other field that you've scratched the surface that you might want to learn more about. Possibly.
Now, I know people that are like that, but I'm not one of them.
Okay. All right. Do you believe in the afterlife? I know, like the Egyptians, they like to take their stuff with them at death. You know, they used to be buried with all their possessions. Do you believe in the afterlife? And do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, I refer you to two great thinkers that have shaped a lot of thoughts over the centuries, Plato and Aristotle. Now, Plato said that within you there is a soul, but the soul is not part of your body. So when your body dies, your soul keeps going. It is immortal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, his student Aristotle disagreed. He said, yeah, you do have a soul, but it's part of your body. When your body dies, your soul dies too.
Ah, okay. That I did not know.
And now, if you show people both of those statements, invariably they will say, oh, I believe in that one, or I believe in that one. That's how it's split our thinking, you know. I follow Aristotle, but most people I ask follow Plato. They think they have an immortal soul.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all right, so I'm from the school of thought that says, you know, when the body dies, the soul dies. According to me, the most powerful force in the universe is impermanence. And I would challenge you, try to think of one thing that is not impermanent, that lasts forever. You're going to have a pretty tough time thinking of that. Now, it might be in your imagination, like your soul, you might say. But in reality, you've never come across anything that never changes.
You're right.
When I was at one point, I had a job in a jewelry store. Somebody would bring in their old diamonds to sell to the jeweler. He would put them under a microscope, study them very carefully to see what they're worth. And I would say, what are you looking for under a microscope? And he'd say, wear and tear. I said, a diamond is the hardest thing in the universe. He goes, they wear out. Believe me, they wear out.
Eventually.
Now, if a diamond wears out, don't you think everything wears out?
I also want to add another celestial event here that I wanted to touch upon, Richard.
Okay.
Recently, a rocket passed Pluto and went beyond Pluto. Okay, and it's going to be reaching another celestial body that is even beyond Pluto, farther outside our solar system. Some people think that the house of the future is kind of like this as far as creativity is concerned, going beyond, the normal. Mm-hmm. Do you have any home of the future songs or a motto or anything of that nature?
There is a theme song for the home of the future.
Can you sing it for us, possibly?
Well, it goes something like this. Welcome to the home of the future, where you can be anything you want.
That's excellent.
It was written by a fellow named Steve Kay.
Are you sure that's not a furniture company song or on TV? But no, that's excellent. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else know that song?
Yeah, there are people who know it.
Okay.
In fact, if you go to the local hardware store and Steve Kay is working, say, Steve, sing me the Home of the Future song. He'll sing it for you.
All right. That's going to happen. I know you were also on the board of Hallwalls.
I was. Do you want to know how that ended?
Well, yeah. Can you tell us about that? Did you like being with Hallwalls and what they were up to?
Well, I liked it until I saw the way it goes like this.
Was that the artists and models benefit you're referring to? Or?
That is one of the activities of Hallwalls.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, because I know that came to an end. I thought you were referring to that, but maybe not.
Oh, they're not going to do that anymore?
Haven't been doing it for several years. I wish they were. You know, it was always a fun thing to attend, but maybe they'll start it up again. Don't know, though. Yeah.
So I was on the board of Hallwalls for, like a decade or even longer. And somebody joined the board, and he was a big Hallwall supporter. His heart was really into the organization. And then he revealed that he was dying of AIDS.
Oh, my.
But he felt that it would be a good gesture. And he had taken out an insurance policy. And he named the organization as the beneficiary. So that when he died, $350,000 would be given to Hallwalls.
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
So he died and Hallwalls got this money. Now, what does Hallwalls do with the money? They say, what we should do? We should set up like a endowment so that we can one day live off the interest. And it'll keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and we'll just get the dividends, and we'll go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's a good idea. And I said, but based on what I know about the stock market, don't invest in stocks. I said, invest in bonds, because it means you're going to get your money.
Something more safe. Yeah, safer. Mm-hmm.
They said, well, we have a friend of Hallwalls, who is a financial advisor. He does that for a living, and he's going to tell us what to do. So what did this financial advisor tell them to do? He said, well, you take the $335,000, you put a third of it in bonds, you put a third of it in moderate stocks, and you put a third of it in high-risk stocks. Okay?
Diversity.
After 3 years, that $350,000 was down to $100,000.
Oh, no. Oh, man.
From following his advice.
Oh.
So once again I said, look, take your $100,000 and put it in financially secure investments. Stop playing around thinking that you're going to make a fortune. Be happy with 3 to 5%.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a board meeting, and somebody stands up at the board meeting and says, oh, well, whenever the stock market is down like it is now is the time that we should invest even more money in risky stocks. And so I gave my argument, and they gave their argument, and then I said, well, let's have a vote at the table. So they went around the table, and everybody at the table, except me, wanted to put it in higher risk stocks.
They're shooting for the moon.
And I thought, I don't belong in the same room with these people.
Mm.
I'm not going to be able to go up to one of the members in the organization and say, we blew $350,000, on my watch.
Yeah.
First they didn't follow my advice, and they lost so much of it, and then they're going to lose the rest of it. So I'd love to find out how much is in that now.
That's tough to take, tough to accept. No doubt about it.
I don't know. Maybe you're a risky investor, but I'm not. And I can tell you, because of the fact that I'm so cautious and conservative,
mm-hmm.
that when I turned 26, I started putting my money in my pension fund, which I managed it. And I told the person in the fund, look, I only want you to put it in bonds, right? And he was insisting that he should put it. I said, no, I'm going to fire you if you I only want you to put it in bonds. So finally he agreed, he agreed to do what I said. So he put it in bonds. He's going, oh, you're only making 5% a year. I could get you 10 or even more. All my friends in the 90s were laughing at me that I was making such a low return, until this market crashed and and the bubble burst in the 90s, and they lost everything, and I lost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 2008 crash, I lost nothing. So my investment has gone up and up and up.
Good for you.
To the point where I'm semi-retired now.
Mm-hmm.
All because
Wonderful.
of my conservatism.
Yep. I take it you don't go to the casino often.
Do not. I do
Okay.
not.
All right. Yeah. That's great. That's a great story and a great financial aspects.